While Dubai is known for its glitz and glamour, where homelessness is virtually non-existent, the situation in some countries is heart-wrenching. Homeless individuals live under bridges, in sewers, or on sidewalks, turning these places into makeshift homes where they eat, sleep, and conduct basic daily activities. Join Eagle Discovery as we explore the realities of homelessness in various parts of the world, uncovering stories that will leave you both shocked and deeply moved. France, a luxury capital with a harsh reality. Paris, a stark contrast between glamour and poverty. Paris, celebrated worldwide as the City of Light, is synonymous with luxury, romance, and cultural splendor, drawing millions of tourists each year to its iconic landmarks. However, beyond the grandeur of the Eiffel Tower and the elegance of the Champs-Élysées lies a harsh and sobering truth. Over 333,000 individuals in France are homeless, with a significant portion residing in Paris. This hidden population includes numerous migrants and refugees, many of whom fled war-torn regions or impoverished nations in search of safety and opportunity. Instead, they are met with poverty, discrimination, and systemic barriers, which prevent them from achieving stability. In Paris, homeless individuals often resort to makeshift shelters under bridges, in parks, or within abandoned buildings. These precarious living conditions leave them vulnerable to the elements and expose them to serious risks, including violence, theft, and health complications. For migrants, the lack of access to social support networks or resources intensifies their challenges, making it even harder for them to escape the cycle of homelessness. The winter months in Paris are particularly brutal for the homeless population. With temperatures frequently dropping below -10 degrees Celsius, survival becomes an uphill battle. Many seek refuge in metro stations or train platforms to escape the biting cold, but these spaces lack adequate amenities and safety measures. The risk of hypothermia, respiratory illnesses, and injuries rises sharply during this period, underscoring the urgent need for effective interventions to address homelessness in the city. The role of charitable organizations, beacons of hope. Amid the growing crisis, charitable organizations and grassroots movements have emerged as vital lifelines for the homeless community in Paris. These organizations work tirelessly to provide essential services aimed at meeting the immediate needs of vulnerable individuals. Their initiatives include free meals to combat hunger and malnutrition, warm clothing and blankets to help individuals withstand the freezing temperatures, mobile shower facilities, which enable the homeless to maintain hygiene and dignity. In addition, emergency shelters, predominantly operated by nonprofits, offer temporary reprieve from the streets. However, these shelters are often overwhelmed by demand, with insufficient space to accommodate the sheer number of people in need. The challenges were further exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted access to public spaces and strained the capacity of aid services. Lockdowns isolated homeless individuals and cut them off from basic necessities, intensifying their struggles. Despite these obstacles, the compassion and solidarity of local communities became a silver lining. Many Parisians stepped forward to volunteer their time, donate resources, and advocate for systemic changes to support their homeless neighbors. While the efforts of charitable organizations and volunteers provide critical support, addressing homelessness in Paris requires comprehensive and systemic change. Key areas of focus include increased investment in affordable housing to reduce the number of individuals forced onto the streets, expanded mental health and addiction services to address underlying issues contributing to homelessness, improved integration programs for migrants and refugees, including access to language training, employment opportunities, and legal assistance. Without these structural changes, the stark contrast between the opulence of Paris and the struggles of its homeless population will continue to deepen, challenging the city's reputation as a symbol of progress and opportunity. Hey friend, where are you from? I want to know which city you are from watching our videos. Leave a comment so we are not lonely. Where you live, What will the fate of homeless people be like? A small action, but will be the motivation for us to make more videos. Thank you and love you very much. Thank you. United States, a homeless epidemic and a superpower. The United States, one of the world's wealthiest nations, faces a profound homelessness crisis, with over 771,140 individuals living without stable housing. The issue is particularly visible in cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York City, where sprawling tent cities and makeshift shelters in subway tunnels highlight the extent of the problem. Despite its superpower status, the U.S. struggles to provide adequate resources for its homeless population. A major driver of homelessness in the U.S. is skyrocketing housing costs. In cities like Los Angeles, even middle-class professionals find it difficult to afford rent, forcing some to live in vehicles or shared, overcrowded spaces. Mental health challenges, substance abuse issues, and systemic inequalities further exacerbate the crisis, creating barriers to recovery and stability. Many homeless individuals rely on vehicles, park benches, or even underground tunnels for shelter, but these options expose them to a myriad of dangers, including extreme weather, flooding, and crime. Tent cities, often located in vacant lots or public parks, have become an enduring symbol of homelessness in America. Residents form tightly knit communities to provide mutual support, but these spaces are frequently subject to city sweeps that force them to move without addressing their fundamental needs. While some local governments and nonprofits have introduced creative solutions, such as tiny home villages and housing-first programs, these initiatives are often underfunded and unable to meet the growing demand. The creativity of those experiencing homelessness is also evident in their efforts to survive. Many use humorous or artistic signs to attract donations, engaging with passers-by in unique and memorable ways. Despite this ingenuity, systemic issues such as income inequality, a lack of affordable housing, and inadequate mental health resources continue to hinder long-term solutions. To combat homelessness effectively, the U.S. needs a comprehensive, multifaceted approach that prioritizes affordable housing, expands access to mental health services, and fosters community-based support systems. Without such changes, the homelessness epidemic will remain an indelible stain on the fabric of American society. South Korea struggles beneath the glitz. South Korea, renowned for its technological advancements, globally popular K-pop industry, and remarkable economic growth, hides a less glamorous truth beneath its prosperity. Despite the nation's rapid development, over 11,000 people remain homeless, a figure that starkly reflects the growing wealth gap. While Seoul's skyline gleams with state-of-the-art skyscrapers, countless individuals sleep in subway stations, parks, or overcrowded rehabilitation centers, unable to afford basic housing. These spaces, while providing temporary refuge, are inadequate for protecting individuals from South Korea's harsh winters and pervasive social neglect. The plight of Goryeo Village. One of the most poignant symbols of South Korea's wealth disparity is Goryeo Village, located just a stone's throw away from Gangnam, an area synonymous with affluence and opulence. Dubbed Seoul's last shantytown, Goryeo Village consists of makeshift homes constructed from tarpaulins, scrap wood, and metal sheets. These structures offer little to no protection against fires, floods, and the bitter cold of winter. Many lack access to basic infrastructure such as electricity, clean water, and proper sanitation, leaving residents to grapple daily with conditions far removed from the high-tech image of modern Korea. Life in Goryeo is marked by both physical and societal challenges. The proximity of this slum to Gangnam serves as a glaring juxtaposition, underscoring the stark divide between South Korea's wealthy elite and its marginalized communities. Residents of Goryeo endure the dual burden of material deprivation and social exclusion, as their plight is largely ignored by the rest of society. Addressing homelessness in South Korea. While the South Korean government has introduced initiatives aimed at tackling homelessness, progress remains slow due to deep-rooted cultural stigmas. In South Korea, homelessness is often viewed as a personal failure, with individuals perceived as lacking the drive or ability to succeed. This pervasive stigma isolates homeless individuals, making it difficult for them to seek help or reintegrate into society. Despite these barriers, grassroots organizations and NGOs have stepped up to provide crucial support. These groups deliver hot meals, clothing, and healthcare services, while also advocating for systemic change. Some initiatives focus on offering skills training and job placement programs, which help individuals transition back into stable living conditions. However, these efforts alone cannot address the structural issues fueling homelessness. The need for systemic solutions. South Korea's homelessness problem highlights the broader issue of income inequality and limited social welfare systems. Addressing these challenges requires a comprehensive approach, including affordable housing development, increasing the supply of low-cost housing options to accommodate vulnerable populations, expanded mental health services, providing accessible mental health care to address issues that often contribute to homelessness, such as depression or addiction, public awareness campaigns, challenging societal stigmas and fostering a culture of empathy and understanding, government support for grassroots efforts, partnering with NGOs and community organizations to scale up effective programs and initiatives. South Korea's rise as an economic powerhouse has been remarkable, but its growing wealth disparity threatens to undermine its progress. By prioritizing inclusive policies and addressing the needs of its most vulnerable citizens, South Korea can build a society that reflects its aspirations of equity and modernity. China, hidden homelessness in a nation of billions. China, home to over 1 billion people, has seen unprecedented urbanization and economic growth over recent decades. However, this rapid transformation has also given rise to hidden homelessness, an issue often overshadowed by the country's development narrative. In Hong Kong, one of the world's wealthiest cities, homelessness contrasts sharply with the glitz and glamour of its towering skyscrapers. An estimated 3,000 individuals are homeless in Hong Kong, a number that continues to grow as housing prices soar to record-breaking levels. For many, public parks, underpasses, and even 24-hour McDonald's outlets have become makeshift shelters. These McRefugees seek respite in air-conditioned spaces, particularly during the sweltering summer months. Some view these arrangements as temporary, but for others, they represent a long-term reality born out of unaffordable housing costs. Even those with steady incomes often find themselves relegated to coffin homes, cramped, windowless spaces barely large enough to sleep in. These units, often smaller than a parking space, are rented at exorbitant prices, underscoring the severity of Hong Kong's housing crisis. In mainland China, homelessness is less visible but no less pressing. Migrant workers, who form the backbone of the nation's labor force, are particularly vulnerable. Many live in abandoned buildings, factories, or construction sites, their temporary shelters hidden from public view. The hukou system, which ties social benefits to one's place of registered residence, further excludes rural migrants from accessing urban welfare programs, leaving them without a safety net. Efforts to tackle homelessness in China are gradually gaining traction. NGOs and local volunteers provide vital aid, such as food, clothing, and medical assistance. The government has also begun implementing programs to offer temporary shelters, job training, and legal support, but the scale of the problem remains overwhelming. As urbanization continues, the wealth gap between urban elites and marginalized communities widens, posing long-term challenges for policymakers. To address homelessness comprehensively, China must focus on housing affordability, reforming welfare systems like the hukou, and creating pathways for marginalized groups to access education and employment. Only through these measures can the nation reconcile its rapid development with the realities faced by its most vulnerable populations. Would you like to delve into potential solutions or cultural influences shaping the response to homelessness in these countries? United Kingdom, a nation grappling with homelessness. The United Kingdom, a wealthy nation with a homelessness crisis. The United Kingdom, recognized globally for its economic stability and modernity, faces an unsettling homelessness epidemic. Over 105,510 people lack stable housing, and in London, one of the wealthiest cities in the world, more than 12,000 individuals were documented sleeping rough within a single year. These figures underscore a troubling paradox: a nation with vast resources struggling to provide basic housing security for its citizens. The root causes of homelessness. The homelessness crisis in the UK arises from multiple, interrelated factors. Chief among these is the escalating cost of housing, particularly in urban areas where rents far exceed the financial capacity of low-income households. Despite the existence of social housing programs, the demand far outstrips the supply. Waiting lists for affordable housing stretch on for years, leaving thousands of individuals in precarious living situations. The lack of a robust social safety net compounds the problem. Unemployment, domestic violence, and mental health issues are common catalysts for homelessness, and existing systems often fail to address these challenges effectively. Vulnerable individuals find themselves slipping through the cracks, without sufficient access to support services that could help them regain stability. Hidden homelessness, a silent crisis. A significant yet lesser-known dimension of the UK's homelessness problem is hidden homelessness. This term describes people who live in insecure or overcrowded conditions, often invisible to public scrutiny. Thousands of families, many with young children, are confined to temporary accommodations such as hostels, or rely on friends and relatives for shelter. These arrangements are inherently unstable and impose severe emotional and financial strain on all involved. Families living in temporary housing often experience heightened anxiety, a lack of privacy, and limited access to education or work opportunities. Moreover, such precarious living conditions leave individuals particularly vulnerable to exploitation, eviction, and abuse. Efforts to combat homelessness. Amid the crisis, charities and nonprofit organizations play a vital role in providing immediate relief and advocating for systemic change. These groups distribute food, clothing, and temporary shelter, while also raising awareness about the root causes of homelessness. Innovative campaigns, such as art exhibitions showcasing the talents of homeless individuals, have emerged as powerful tools to humanize homelessness and reduce societal stigma. These exhibitions allow participants to share their stories creatively, fostering public empathy and helping them reclaim their dignity. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the UK government implemented the Everyone In initiative, an emergency program that temporarily housed rough sleepers in hotels and other accommodations. This unprecedented effort demonstrated the effectiveness of rapid, coordinated action in addressing homelessness. However, as the pandemic receded, so did the funding and focus on this initiative, causing many individuals to return to the streets. Addressing the crisis. While efforts by charities and temporary government programs are commendable, the homelessness crisis in the UK requires long-term systemic solutions. These include increasing affordable housing stock, building and maintaining low-cost housing units to meet growing demand, expanding mental health and addiction services, addressing underlying issues that often lead to homelessness, strengthening social safety nets, providing better support for individuals at risk of losing their homes due to economic or personal challenges, preventative measures, identifying and assisting at-risk populations before they fall into homelessness. Tackling homelessness is not merely about providing shelter, but addressing the systemic inequalities that perpetuate it. With sustained effort and a commitment to reform, the UK can transform its approach to homelessness and create a future where everyone has access to safe and secure housing. Watching these stories unfold makes us realize how fortunate we are to have a roof over our heads. If this content resonated with you, leave a comment saying agreed below. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more eye-opening videos. See you next time.